University of Phoenix.
What's up, everybody? How are you? It's March 1st. Can you believe it? It is here. Real Talk Chronicles in effect, baby. I got my boys in the building. We're going to have a good show tonight. We're going to talk about some stuff. I hope you all are not too sensitive to it. It is what it is. This is real talk. It's not real sensitive. So, I mean, be prepared for that. We say what we say. Honestly, these are the opinions of people that have been in these kind of fields. And we're going to explain and address situations that are important to our people. And we need to say what we have to say. And hopefully you take it and maybe it gives you some insight to where we're going and what we're trying to do, trying to make this world a better place. Maybe it gives you some. Real Talk is sponsored by Soft Illusions Art Gallery, that lady behind me. Also, Design Interactions. If you need a website, that's the lady for you. She's an expert in her field. What's up, Stefania? How are you? Shout out to everybody that's watching Real Talk Chronicles. It's sponsored by Reggie Wells Quality Speakers, Melba Wilson, Leon Ellis, Chocolat, his restaurant, also too his Harlem Underground. Ingram Taxes, if you need your taxes. What's happening to the stream? I don't know, Stefania. What's happening?
Somebody has background noise.
So mute every fellas, mute yourself until I finish these announcements. Also, it's sponsored by the Deadly Arts of Survival magazine, #1 martial arts magazine in the world. They're having a seminar this weekend. It's called DOSCON 3. It's a 2-day event. It starts Saturday at 6 to 10 and Sunday from 1 to 6. It's going to have martial arts demonstrations. You can see some of the best martial artists in the world. I will give you the street again. I'll mention that later on. It's at 561 Grand Street, Lower East Side, Manhattan. If I'm feeling up to par, I definitely will be there to show love. Nathan Ingram and Jacob Ingram, they're doing their thing. #1 martial arts magazine in the country. You can get it on Amazon. Great articles about martial artists that you may know, that you didn't even know were martial artists and stuff like that. Also, too, there's a documentary coming on tomorrow that Ty and I are affiliated with in some sort of a fashion about undercovers on A&E, right, Ty? I think it is. Is that A&E? I think is it 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, Ty? 10? You muted. Hold on. Ty's gonna unmute herself.
I forgot I was muted. Yeah, it's 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's about undercovers. Shout out to Mark that I think put the documentary together. I think they're undercovers all over the world, but we have some undercovers that we are affiliated with that will be a part of that. I was asked at the time if I could lend a hand to that. I wasn't able to get in touch with investigators and things of that magnitude, but I'm so glad that the project went ahead, went forth. My man Roscoe, I think some of his stories are being told, and it gives you an insight onto undercover work. But tonight, I want to talk about our youth. I have a topic that I want to talk about with you all, and I hope it may be sensitive to some, but it's pertinent that we discuss this. Crime right now is being done by a lot of youth. The age groups, I don't even want to say exactly because I don't have the stats on it, but there's that age group, 18, some even younger, 16 on. Ty and I, Rich, Norm does a lot of speaking engagements and stuff like that. All of us here have put our due diligence in trying to rectify the problem at hand. My question to the panel and to the audience listening is, are we responsible for the way the youth are acting today? What I mean by that, have we coddled them too much? We all grew up in an era where it was kind of be seen and not heard. And I'm not saying this is right. Please, for the listening audience, I'm not trying to say that what I'm saying is the right way. But what I'm asking, have we coddled our kids too much where they are so spoiled and entitled to certain things that they feel that they don't have any consequences or repercussions? And that spoiled nature. People always talk about, Bill, you're an only child, you're spoiled. Yeah, but I always say jokingly, but seriously, that I averaged the ass whipping once a month for something. You know what I'm trying to say, gents? Like I didn't. It wasn't from approach. Like my parents was like, "What? Pop, ping, pong, ping." You know, I understand everybody here is a parent and stuff like that, and a lot of parents have not raised their children the way they were raised, and understandably so. I get it, because the way maybe we were raised, it might have been called child abuse today. But what I'm asking is, have we pacified our children so much that they feel so entitled? I was not wearing Jordans. The Jordans weren't out when I was a child. But kids today on the corner, and any kids you see today, you know, Ty and I was in the school not too long ago, less than a month ago, and kids having iPhones and the same phones we have and wearing the same sneakers we're wearing, and they didn't do anything to earn that. I'll never forget Michael Jordan said one time in regards to, uh, you know, how he felt the NBA had went in regards to the people in the NBA didn't earn anything. Coming into the NBA, he had to earn a sneaker deal. Other athletes had to earn certain things. So where are we today? Have we coddled our children too much? And I'll go to you, Ty, Rich, and Norm. Go ahead, Ty.
I would agree. In certain situations, yes, we have. Uh, in relation to the way we were raised, yes, we've coddled our kids. But understand this, that, times have changed and the way we raise our children have changed. And that's
Yeah.
why you had the difference in the way we raise kids. The only constant in life is change, and in this world is changing all the time, and with change we have to adapt. So that's what, as parents, we had to do with our kids. We had to adapt, because this generation is a total different generation. This generation is, I would say, technological and informational rich, as opposed to wisdom rich. They're wisdom poor. We grew up wisdom rich. If we didn't have our fathers around, we had some sort of male figure around that gave us some sort of wisdom. Whether it was the right wisdom or not, it was something to help build our common sense. The kids of this generation are being raised by the computer, the internet, all sorts of computer style things that we have in this society, and that's very hard for parents to compete with. I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling you that it's different. So that's why you've had a lot of the circumstances that have come about, more so that came about during our generation. And our generation, like you said, I think we were given the tools where we had to be respectful, and these kids aren't being respectful. And part of it, and I know some people, maybe the listeners or some of you on the panel, may not agree with me, but I'm going to tell you, part of it is taking taking religion out of school, taking prayer out of school, taking that level of a moral upbringing out of the school, because if the kids aren't getting it home and they're not getting it from the next door neighbor and the school's not giving it to them, what sort of morals and values are they being brought up with?
Excellent. Rich?
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. When we were kids, it was way different. We had to memorize phone numbers, right? Like I knew all my parents. I mean, I knew all my relatives' numbers by heart in my head. The system that they use now to keep time, we had to learn how to keep this time on a clock. You know, I worked in the school system. I asked a kid what time it is. If he didn't have his cell phone with him, he didn't know. You know, back when there was what we call BCW, which is now ACS, when that came about, it changed everything because they changed the rules. I mean, when I went to IS-10, all the teachers had rulers with rubber bands around them. They were allowed to hit you. The teachers were allowed to hit you, right? And discipline you to a degree. I mean, most people in my community that were on public assistance that had to also work, a lot of these parents, mainly the women, worked for white folks babysitting their kids. And truth be told, our parents had more control over those white kids than their parents, because the method that they used to discipline their children was the ones that they impose on us now. You know, give them a timeout. You know, if Johnny curse you out, you don't put hands on Johnny. You talk to Johnny, and you give him a timeout. So they put those rules in effect on us. I mean, and as far as like technology is concerned, we're living in a different era where we all have to adapt to this lifestyle that has been imposed on us. I mean, back in the day, you carry money in your wallet with a rubber band around it, you know?
Yeah.
Now you paying for shit with your cell phone, you know?
Yeah.
Or you don't even take your credit card out and swipe it no more. You tap it, you know? Money is transacted in a whole different way that takes the whole hustle for a kid like me. When I was a kid, I went to the grocery store and I packed bags. I sold newspapers. And when you pack bags in the supermarket, you rely on the change for your money.
Right.
How you gonna pack bags when everybody paying with their cell phone?
Right.
There's no money in that for a kid now to hustle. You know, they got their own way of hustling now, and that's through the internet. You turn on the Facebook, you turn on all these different things, and they got different ways how kids can make money by getting likes through social media, you know, or scamming on credit cards. The whole thing with the technology, the hustle game is technology now. Everything is technology. And for most part, old heads like us, we behind the times when it comes to that. You know, we don't really get that like this generation of kids do.
Yeah.
You know.
It's so funny. I had a friend put up on a post today, and I'm gonna bring you Norm in after I say this, and then Stefania, I'm gonna read your comments after Norm says what he has to say, and then I'll open it up to everybody. She said, I'm paraphrasing. She said, I think it was something like, why don't they still call like multiplication timetables anymore? You know what I'm trying to say? Like we grew up from that era. Kids are not even taught script anymore.
We couldn't use a
calculator.
A calculator. Now it's mandatory. They give them out to kids taking tests now.
Right.
The math is even on another level now.
Yeah, definitely. Norm, what's your thoughts on this topic, brother?
Well, I agree with what Todd said. When they took the religion and prayer out of school, it took away the morals. It took away respect. We as older men, we grew up where we had to say, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Kids nowadays don't have respect for themselves nor anybody else. and they don't have people that's going to check them when they're disrespectful because they're
Yeah.
scared of catching a case.
Yeah.
You know, when we were growing up, our parents hit you with whatever they could get their hands on,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't think about calling CPS, BSW, none of that. You know, because it wasn't there because that was the norm where you took a beating and you knew that you were wrong, so you went on.
Right.
Kids
Right.
nowadays are not held accountable for their actions, and they're
Right.
seeing they're emulating each other, they're copying each other. We could never, and it started within. I want to say within white families, we couldn't talk back to our parents. Our
Right.
parents said something that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't say, "Well, I don't agree with that." No, I've seen white kids curse their mother out, curse their father out,
Yeah.
and I'm
Hmm.
Yeah.
like, "Yo, he done lost his mind."
Yeah, yeah. We
You
want we
know,
as a person, we want to jump in and whip that child ass because we like, yo, wait a minute, you talking to your parent like that?
and the parent is cool
Unacceptable.
with it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and that's what gets me. The
They don't
parent is
just
cool with it. Oh, he's having a bad day. I'm
talk
like,
to them like
he's,
that. They
he- he's
put
having a
hands on
bad
their
day.
parents.
yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
I remember my mother. I'm gonna tell you this, and then we can move on. I remember my mother was cooking one night, and she said something to me, and I'm like, "Look here, woman, I ain't trying to hear that." When I woke up, when I woke up, my sisters were sitting at the table eating. My mother was stepping over me, talking about, "Get your ass up and come on and eat."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
we don't have that anymore. We're
Yeah,
scared of our kids.
yeah,
Well, the parents nowadays are scared of our kids.
yes.
I had to tell my sons, as long as my fingers work, I ain't never gonna be scared of you.
Yeah, yeah.
I ain't never gonna be
Exactly.
scared of you
Yeah,
because we had that respect for one another.
yeah.
It wasn't given; it was earned. I
And
had
you
to
know what's so
earn
funny?
their respect, and they had to earn my respect.
Absolutely. And you know what's so funny? And then I'm gonna read some comments. Everybody, this Real Talk Chronicles. I got my guys with me today. I got Norman Davis, Ty Butler, and Richard Williams in it. And we're talking about the topic at hand about, are we responsible for the way our youth act? And I would love to hear your comments. And a lot of people are chiming in. So definitely this is a good topic tonight. And if you're on YouTube, please subscribe to it and share it. And that's where we can see a lot of these comments and questions that you have or statements. You're totally right. I mean, we living in a world now where I think a lot of things are being coddled. Let me read some of these comments, and then you guys can answer them to the best of your abilities. Um, let's see. Everybody's saying hello. Stefania said, "Yes, we are because the parents have neglected them, and now we, as a society, we're paying the price." She also says, we are the consequences. Where are the consequences? These kids are get arrested and are out within hours and go terrorize someone else. And she also says a lot of these youngsters are scammers, and their parents don't question where they're getting all of their fancy, let me read the thing, gadgets and designer goods. Social media is raising the kids. Loving God said the older generation removed God's line of good and evil at the result is good guys aren't given the same approval as bad guys. That's very true. Uh, let me see what else is. Diane agrees with you, Rich. She says good evening to everybody. June says I was on Facebook waiting for this to start. LOL. I was wondering what the delay was. I was in the wrong damn place. Well, you're here now. Darren says we cannot have religion in schools because what religion are we going to go with? Lou York, we can go back to that topic. Lou York says, agreed, different times. Bring back prayer. Darren says, we certainly do not want teachers beating or spanking our children because that is a very slippery slope. Lou said, my mom kept hands on me, no drugs used or no drug use or criminal record. Darren said, yes, parents beat us because they learned from the slave master. We have to evolve. Okay, and I say that, Darren, I understand that, but I'm assuming and I'm hoping and I'm praying that you have raised your kids with a stern tongue if you didn't have to use your hands. And shout out to all the parents that were able to do that, because as parents you evolve and you learn a different way. Because I understand a lot of parents don't co-sign hitting their children. I'm not saying you have to, but there has to be a certain fear instilled.
But
There's fear instilled in work. If you come in late, you get disciplined. If you come in too many times late, or you decide not to do your work and do something, that's part of being written up and terminated. There's fear in everything we do in life. Men don't cheat on their wives. Women don't cheat on their husband because in fear of getting caught. There's fear in anything we do in life. So, I mean, if there's not fear instilled, and I say fear not in the point of death, but there's a certain level of respect. Fear turns into respect. Respect is fear. So when we start talking about not what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, it's a totally different. Let me tell you something. My mother and father, before they passed away, as an adult, I could disagree with them and have an argument with them, but there was a certain level of argument that wasn't going to happen. Like we weren't going to sit there and go toe to toe, verbally disrespectful. F this, I'm not doing that shit. Who you think you talking to? That wasn't happening. Still, as a grown man, I still respected them because it was instilled in me the respect of they were my parents. Right now, you have kids disrespectful, saying all kind of things. I want to read some more comments, and then I can open it up to you guys. Lisa Clark said, times that have absolutely changed. They have absolutely changed, especially when we took the discipline out of the home for the fear of CPS and spare of the rod. Diane said, exactly, Bear. There's consequences to actions. Shout out Liz Biles. I see you in the building. Everybody, this is an open forum conversation. Are we the problem for the way our children are acting today? Fellas, your thoughts, comments. I want to go back to what I'm going to ask Ty, Rich, and Norman, and I'll start with you, Rich, and then I'll go to Norman and Ty. Darren says, we certainly don't want teachers beating or spanking our children because that is a very slippery slope. He also says we cannot have religion in schools because what religions are we going to go with? Rich, what's your comments and thoughts on that? And then Norman and Ty.
Well, I agree with him when he talks about the religion piece, because I don't remember praying in school. I never did that. Now, I wasn't in a Catholic school or anything like that, but I have no recollection of any kind of worshiping of any God when I was in public school, right? That's number one.
So wait a minute, let me ask you a
Number
question,
two,
Rich. Hold on, let me interject. When y'all ate, y'all didn't say like your prayers and something like that? I mean, y'all didn't say pledge allegiance to the flag or nothing? Anything? Nothing?
They did pledge allegiance to the flag at assembly, right?
Okay.
Whenever we had assembly, they would do that, where you had to pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, all that shit, right?
Yeah, because I'm saying I didn't learn that shit at home, so I learned all that, and I'm just saying, like
I'm talking about what you just said, though. As far as the pledge allegiance, I learned that in school, but I did not learn worshiping in school. I learned that outside of school. I learned that when my parents would take us to church and give us some change to put into the basket, and we put it in our pocket and spin it after church on some cookies, right? That's what we did as kids. But as children, when you start introducing religion, it has to come from your household, because kids ask questions about religion, and it's difficult sometimes to explain something that sometimes you don't really understand fully. That's where faith comes in. You read the Bible, or you read the Quran, or you read whatever religious papers you have to your children, and you try to instill that by being consistent with it in your own household. I don't think the school has anything to do with it unless you go into a Catholic school or yeshiva or one of these schools that Islam has, right? That's when you incorporate your religion and your faith and your culture in your education. And that part, I don't see nothing wrong with that. And I believe, I'm a firm believer in schools being taught where they include your culture. Because right now in the public school system, what we doing is we learning based on a whole nother culture. That's why none of it looks like us. When you go through the history books, there's nothing in there that really shines a positive light on us. Oh, we were slaves and we had to fight to come out of slavery, when all that's just straight up bogus. And and I want to address something one of the brothers said. I don't know which one said that, as far as white folks through slavery were disciplining us. Sure, they did that, but tribes was beating asses before we even got over here. You know, you talk to some of these Africans that come here now, and they send their kids back to Africa so they can whip their ass. Because over there they do that, right? Now, any kind of abuse is to me is crazy. But all you guys know that ass whippings didn't just come from your family; it came from your neighborhood. Any parent in the neighborhood that caught me out of pocket was allowed to check me and put hands on me if necessary. And I wouldn't say nothing about it to my parent because that just meant 2 ass whippings. Right?
Absolutely.
Now, and I got to say this before I turn it over. I used to say, like Bill, you said a minute ago how you used to get your ass whipped, right? And I used to have this argument with my mother, God bless her. She passed away. But I used to have these recollections of me getting my ass whipped on a regular by my mother.
Right.
And my mother said, I didn't beat you like that. And I was like, yes, you did. And then I had to think about it. And what came to my memory when I really thought about it, I didn't get beatings like that. The thing was, when I got an ass whipping, I got a fucking ass whipping, right? So after that initial ass whipping, all I needed was a look. Like if I was out of pocket, she'd give me that look, and that look felt like an ass whipping. So
Absolutely.
I used to count them shits as ass whippings. Because in my head, I knew that if this shit wasn't corrected, my ass was grass.
Absolutely.
So it actually felt like ass whipping. But she had me in check. And when I got a certain age where I was too big for her to cause any real pain to me, because my pops wasn't around. So when I got too big, my mother was only 5'2". And when I got a certain age and that shit really wasn't affecting me, she just sat down and talked to me. And she talked to me in a fashion where I was like, just whip my ass, you know? Because she made me feel so fucked up. I mean, she made me feel so bad about just disappointing her that I would rather just get the ass whipping because it was over then. But that disappointment lingered. So my advice to parents today, because we're not living in that era, you got to love the hell out of your kids, pay so much attention to them, and play a part in their day-to-day struggle of programming them and be a part of what the intake in their daily lives are. Because what we have a tendency to do is just let them loose. You know, we so busy wanting to do our own thing. We say, hey, here's a couple of dollars. Go do what you do. Here, let me pay your phone bill. Go do what you do.
I want to comment on that, and then I'm going to bring Norm in. Norm, you with me? Then I'll bring you. Norm, you with me? I'm going to bring you guys in, you and Todd. But I want to say that you know, I think we were raised with villages. I think that's the blessing that all 4 of us have been here. We were raised with villages. With that being said, a friend, a childhood friend, would never go hungry because you could bring him to your house to eat. So a lot of things are different. I have a childhood friend to this day. We saw each other and he was telling me, he said, "Joe, you know why?" He said, I commend you and the fellas when we grew up. He said, you know, the reason why I stayed out later than you guys, not because I wanted to, because my mother didn't care. And he said I was hungry and stuff like that. I said, well, why didn't you say anything? You could have came to any one of our friends' houses, our little clique, and ate. And he said it was almost embarrassment. I said, but we didn't know that. I said, all you had to do was just say, yo, can come up? Or if we had known that, because it was a village. You know, I get it when we talk about, because you're so right, because at a certain age, our parents weren't putting hands on us. You know, I remember my father telling me one time, he said, yo, you know, you at an age now, he says, don't let Shaft and Jim Brown and all them cats get you killed. You watching too many of them damn movies, they'll get you put, you know. My father pulled out the hammer to let me know, like, it can happen. And you know, we never had another disagreement and argument after that, because he understood he raised a man And you write about having conversations and communication with our parents after a certain age. But the thing is, the fear was instilled at a young age. I'm saying right now, a lot of these young children, and I can bring Ty in because I think Norm is talking. Like, talk about what was instilled in your family, Ty. Like, we are all law-abiding citizens now. Not that even we didn't deviate and do anything else, because good want to know what the bad are doing, and the bad get mad at the good. Let me read Diane's comment. She says, well, as parents, we are responsible for teaching our Black children our history. Taking a village to raise a children work. This being a scared crap has to stop. Tough loving parents need to stop trying. Tough love parents need to stop trying to be their kids' friends. Absolutely. Ty, Norm, go ahead, Ty.
I was going to touch on a few of the things that
No, go ahead, brother.
Rich
Please.
said.
Yeah.
So first thing I want to talk about is what you said in regards to religion in school. So it was a little different for me. I went to an all-Black private school from kindergarten to the 6th grade. The teachers disciplined you with a ruler or with a pointer. There was religion in the school, and what I got, and I can only tell you from my experience, what I got was not just the fear of being disciplined when I got home when I did something wrong, because that happened too, because my mother was a disciplinarian, and the fear of the teachers disciplining you when you didn't do your homework, or you acted up in class, or you were fighting in school. All of the above for me was when you were taught the word. And I think in any religion, when you have in any religion, when you have a relationship with God and you're taught the word, you have a fear of God. So the fear in all those aspects is what helps raise the child. Now, the culture, yes, the culture stems from the home. And in every home, a lot of cultures differ. A lot of the way kids are raised based on the village around them, meaning the neighborhood they come from. That's a culture. Because now when I left private school and I went to a public junior high school, the culture was different. And did I get in more trouble in public junior high school? Absolutely. And I had more freedom. Okay. But the culture had changed. The level of fear had changed. Did I still have the fear of being disciplined when I got home from my mother? Yes, I did. And it happened. Somebody's background's typing. I can hear him typing.
Somebody mute.
Somebody's typing. I can hear. Yeah. So part of that culture is what helps raise these kids, and that fear that the kids have from the culture that's instilled in them is what helps them have a sense of moral being within them to help them do the right thing and not go out here and want to rob somebody's mother or shoot somebody just because, and these are, I don't want to touch on all the crimes, but I mean, there's a lot of things that aren't instilled in our kids. And believe it or not, technology plays a bigger role. So like I said in the beginning, times have changed, and because times have changed, parents and parenting as well has to change. So we had to learn to adapt. And certain parents just went along either the same way that they parents tried to raise them, and some didn't try to raise the kids at all. And there's three things, this is the last thing I'm going to touch on. There's three things that control that no one ever really addresses. There's three systems. You have the political system, you have the economic system, and you have the moral system. And all three have changed, evolved over the years. Okay. And based on those three systems, that's what's really has had an effect on our kids and their upbringing, especially the economical system. Okay, so you had a lot more people after our generation, you had a lot more parents working. So were they spending, does that mean they taking more time away from their kids and raising their kids? Absolutely. Because the generation before us, a lot of times the mother wasn't working, okay? And the mother stayed home and she was there to do the parenting. But then afterwards, now you have both parents working. They may not be giving the same amount of time to the kids or the attention, or like Rich said, the love, okay? And some of them may not have known how to give the love because they weren't loved growing up. You know, it all depends on the situation. The political system, part of the political system is taking the religion out of the school, or taking prayer out of school, or taking the Pledge of Allegiance out of school, because they're not getting that understanding. Yes, they're going to question it and say, what's that? What's that? They can go home and ask their parents or ask people in their village who may, and when I say in their village, in their neighborhood, or their surrounding relatives that might help break that down for them if they get that. And then the moral system. What type of values and morals were being instilled in these kids? Remember, the 80s was a crack era. A lot of, like Bill said, he had a friend that couldn't go home or didn't go home because the mother didn't care or there was nothing there. I remember a lot of people who I grew up around who had a lot of freedom, and it was like that for them. And one in particular. And eventually later on, I did see him on the street homeless because he didn't have that. He didn't have that, you know, that love or that care coming from the home.
Rich, I'm gonna let you comment. I'm gonna let you rebuttal, and then Norm, I'm gonna bring you in, and then you can reply to everything, and then we can open it up. Stan Dennis is in the building. Shout out to Big Stan. He said, "Sub family." He said, "Parents are the key to the failing of the raising of children." Stefania says also the kids are desensitized to violence. Rich, if you want to rebuttal to what Ty was saying, or just want to comment, and then I want to bring Norm in on this.
I mean, he's right to a degree, and but like I said, I don't remember the religious piece inside of the public schools that I went to, and
Right.
in order for you to have a school that's preaching religion, everybody in there has to be a part of that same religion and that same doctrine, right? So that means you got to hire the teachers that believe what you believe. The administration has to believe what you believe, and there's so many different forms of Christianity alone. I mean, if you think about Christians, you talk about Seventh-day Adventists, Baptists. I mean, it's so many different kinds. If you're going to teach that in your school system, and the culture,
can I just not to cut you off, Rich? I apologize. I just want to interject one thing. In public school, you said the Pledge of Allegiance, right? What was that one line in the Pledge of Allegiance? One nation under God, indivisible. So,
but it's not teaching religion.
No. I didn't say. Listen, I didn't say you had to take. I said taking religion or God out of school. Period. So all I was saying was this. Understand this. If the kids have an understanding, if you keep saying that, and like you said, as this generation grew smarter and they're asking questions, what are they gonna say? What is one nation under God? You know, and then they ask, and then someone explains it to them, meaning that yes, we're in a nation, and the nation is what it is, but it's
somebody mute. Somebody's typing. Somebody
mute. But it's all underneath. It's all under the covenant of God. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to preach. I'm just giving you my opinion on the situation.
Bro, all I'm saying to you is everybody has their own cultural relationship with God, right? That's all different depending on who you talk to and what they preach.
I agree.
That's all I'm saying when it comes to public school. Public school took religion out of it, just like it's supposed to be out of government. Because if you're a person that's an atheist, does that mean you're not entitled to an education?
No, absolutely.
That's not what I'm saying, though.
No, but that's why they didn't incorporate religion inside of politics. And I'm not saying it's not there underneath, but it's not like right now, Eric Adams is taking heat for saying just what you said. It was on the news today. He's taking heat for saying just what you just said. Mm-hmm. That he doesn't believe in separating religion and schools, right? Mm-hmm. But you can't go into a yeshiva preaching Jesus Christ.
But they don't go to our schools.
See,
But
that's the
this
whole
is
thing.
exactly my point.
Mhm.
They have their own culture, and they believe in
Mhm.
Judaism, and they get taught that. Everybody that's in there worships Judaism,
Mhm.
and they teach it. And
And
it's a
what
part of their curriculum because that's a part of their culture.
But they
what
still got
happens?
they still
I
got.
just,
I want to bring Norm and Todd. You can go ahead and say what you say.
I just wanted to ask a question.
Yeah.
But what happens in their community? Do their kids act the same in their community as they do in our community?
I don't see what
No.
this is the thing. We under
That
this. We
do
under
that.
this.
That's all I'm
Bro,
asking.
let me
That's all
answer
I'm
the
asking.
question. I'm going to answer the question. We under this misconception that only our kids act a fool, and that's not
No.
true.
No, that's
That
not
is
what I'm
That's not
saying.
what he.
so.
That's not
That's
what
You
I
not. That's not what he
asking
said.
said.
me?
All
You
I
asking
said,
me?
all I
You
said was,
asking me, brother? Brother, can I finish? You
Go
asked me a
ahead.
question.
Mhm.
You asking me to speak to a culture that I'm not a
Mhm.
part of. I don't live down there where these Jews live at. I don't congregate where they congregate. But I know this. They just as bad as our kids.
I didn't
Every
say they
last one
weren't.
of them is just as bad as our kids. But what they don't do, as
Mhm.
far as the hierarchy, the men,
Uh-huh.
they don't sit around and let it happen without them addressing it.
Well,
Okay.
they police their
Now,
own children. They still
we
they.
But
we have decided that I'm not going to jail. Fuck that kid. I'm gonna let him do whatever he want to do. That's the position
That's
that we have taken because we
that's some
don't
truth
want
to
to
that.
lose what we got trying to
Well, that's some truth to
protect
that.
the
So let me
culture.
ask you a question.
I'm gonna
Let
let
me ask you a
Norm
Keep our
question.
talk, and then
culture
I'll
intact.
say what I gotta say
Hold,
later.
hold on, Rich. Rich, I totally agree with you with this saying
But
that
Bill,
because
before you say
I've had
anything else,
friends
let me
tell me,
say this. Let me give you the answer to a question you asked. It is our fault. It's our fault as black men for not taking a stand and saying, fuck what they said. You not doing that shit. Not in my community, not in my
right?
house.
Okay, I agree with that. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, my panel, Norm Davis, Richard Williams, Ty Butler. And the question at hand tonight is, are we responsible for the way our youth act? Norm, I want to bring you in, brother. There's a lot of stuff to catch up to, but I want you to have your piece, and then we can open it up again. And then I want to read some comments. I see you, Stan. I see you, 40 Dogs. I see you, Lisa. I'm going to read some comments, but I want Norm to get some verbs. And
I heard what everybody was saying when I had to answer the door.
yeah.
And I agree with Ty. I agree with Rich on some things. But it starts in the community. It starts in the home. You know, we're sending our kids to school where the teacher's the babysitter. And they're just there for the 8 hours to get, they're not teaching the kids anything. Some teachers, I can't say all teachers, some teachers. When I would arrest a kid for arson, vandalism, whatever he's arrested for, depending on the family, when you go to court, you see white Jewish kids with their mother, father, and their lawyer, where you see a black kid sitting by himself with nobody,
Oh, with his mom.
or with his mother,
Mhm.
and his mother's fussing because she got to go to work and court's taking all day. It starts in the home. We as black men do stand up. We do try to give our kids men to emulate because it starts in the home.
But
I
bro, you
wish I
just
would catch
said,
my I wish I would catch one of my kids doing something that he's not supposed to do. We don't have communities like we did when we were growing up. Because like Ty said, when I went to private school up until high school. So
I think Norm froze. Let me just read some comments. I know you guys want to say something. There's a lot of comments coming in statements. I don't want to read backwards, so I'm gonna go back and scroll back. Let's see. Stan said subfamilies. Okay. Uh, Diane says, yes, times have changed, but certain things should not change, like discipline, respect. When we follow the masses, this is the result. Old school all day. In the end, it works. We cannot be afraid of our children. And I don't believe in my children getting all her teachings from school. Me as a parent must involve must be involved on every aspect, period. June says too many parents are trying to be their children's friends and not their parent. I think a level of fear should be instilled in our children at any age as young as 3 years old. Stan says Tyrone was on point. The morals are taught by parents. Parents become parents. Parents becoming parents at a child's age make situations that children are raising children. 40 says the pledge is trash. I got in trouble every day at school for not standing up. 40 also said it should stand for all. Why they get to practice religion, but our kids can't, double standards. Lisa says, remember, public schools are attended by different religions and cultures. I believe it's the point Ty is attempting to make. Ty, please correct me if I'm wrong. 40 also says, he says, why can't we police our children? Stan says, do not blame teachers. They are not the parents or the children. Mark says, it is safe to say local government has much to do with this. I agree with that. Parents are somewhat handcuffed at what they can do with the regarding discipline and the education of their children. 40 also said the system failed us. The system planned this generational default, so we can't grow as a community or culture. Very true. The village are obsolete these days. I can go back in any topic that you guys want to touch on, or any one of these people said, we definitely can discuss or comment on. I personally, somebody is typing on. Please mute yourself. Huh? Oh, what I will say is that I went to private school. I went to Catholic school. I didn't have the privilege, or if that's the word to say, I go to public school. Right? My parents made me go to put these schools because they felt these schools were better for the educational aspect, more disciplined. I learned. I mean, back then in the days, you didn't find a multitude of religions. You didn't see a Muslim kid in a Catholic school. You found either Catholic kids, or you found like I was a Baptist and I went to Catholic school, but my parents had to pay an extra $10 for me to go to a Catholic school. Saying all that, and went to Catholic high school. I've seen teachers box kids, fight right there in the school, and then call the parents. The teachers was like, "Yo, you paid to come here. This is what it is. You're going to be disciplined with respect and things of that magnitude." So I'm all for discipline. I get it. Times have changed. Yeah, I think society has changed it where it's that timeout shit doesn't work for me. It works after your kid has been instilled discipline. It works when you say timeout. I agree with all of you guys what you're saying, Rich. I understand. Yeah, men have to stand up. Yeah, I think, but it's also we have women that have raised single parent homes that have raised good men. You understand what I'm trying to say? So I feel that it's not, you can't just say, oh, trust me, a man in the house definitely makes a difference. But the bottom line is, we're not going to say that a woman can't raise a good man or a good woman, because the bottom line is society has changed considerably how our children are raised and taught and how they act in their behavioral manners. And that is the problem to me at this stand. I'll open it up. You, Rich, Norm. Go ahead, Norm. You want to say something? Right. Go ahead, Norm.
Yeah, let me say this. When we were in law enforcement, we didn't grow up saying, "Oh, I want to be a police officer."
No.
You know what I'm saying? We grew up saying we wanted to be something else.
Right.
But once we found our calling, we went with it. And our parents were like, "Okay, I'm proud of you." That means a lot when you get the reinforcement, the positive reinforcement from your parents and your peers. You know, I know I lost some friends when I joined law enforcement because they were like, "Oh, you can." That's the way of thinking, and that's what we got to get away from. Our community is not standing behind us because they're scared of the kids. You can't be scared of somebody you taking care of. And like I agree with Todd, it need to be some repercussions behind your actions. Or it may have been Bill that said it. Is no accountability for what you're doing. When you have a 2-year-old that can't talk but know how to work a laptop or know how to do the tablet. That's not making any sense. He can't say ABCs, but he can work a tablet. So society has lost because we're technology dependent, you know, and it's a shame that when we said something, I remember when the neighbors would be able to say something to you. If you was in the grocery store and you showed out, the person in line would be able to check you. Now, if somebody says something to a kid that's out, they may get shot because the parent don't want you saying nothing to their kid, but they're not saying anything to the kid. So I'm a firm believer that you cannot be scared of somebody you taking care of. You have to put down boundaries, and there's no boundaries in place. There's no boundaries in place. Rich, I disagree with you. There's some strong black men out here that are handcuffed from doing things to let kids know. There's no funding. There's no community centers. There's no cultural centers
Hold
to
on, Noam.
show
Hold
kids.
on, Noam. Hold on. I think there's a bug in StreamYard, fellas, because I don't see anybody typing. So as Noam is speaking, everybody mute yourself, and then whoever's going to speak next speak, because right now I think there's a bug in StreamYard. I got my techie on it. So just go ahead, Noam, continue, and then whoever's going to speak, just come in and chime in.
I don't see any community centers. I don't see any cultural community centers. And we need to get back to that. But the political side of it is not going to let us. Because once you break up the house, you're breaking up the unity. So if you could keep it down by breaking up the house and keeping the unity out of the house, that's going to demasculine everybody. You know, they got the big thing now about Dwayne Wade's son changing his name and gender on his birth certificate. I don't agree with it, but it's not my child. Now, if he want to be gay, let him be gay. I have no problem with it. But to say that you want to be a woman and change your name and your gender, where is and your parents, your father is cool with it. The mother's fighting it, as she should, as she should. But I don't know what we can do. We're cuffed.
I
We're
totally agree
handcuffed.
with you on. I totally agree with you on that, and we could definitely talk on that issue too. Any of you fellas want to comment on what Norm said before I read any comments or statements? Rich, go ahead, Rich. I know you guys.
Let me say this. Let me just say this, man. I
Go ahead,
worked
Chef.
my
Hit me with it.
entire life. I'm talking over 40 years with kids. Every place from the public school system to ACS to group homes, right? And I don't care what you say, I've witnessed how when you don't, as a man or as a family, invest in your child, meaning my kids, I got two daughters. I took them to school every day. I went to every parent teachers conference. And those schools that you guys are talking about, where you went to these private schools and all that, those private schools hold the parents accountable for coming and participating in that. They didn't just drop your ass off. They had to come and show up to those parents teachers conferences. The school stayed in touch with your parent, right? That's how they kept you in check. It wasn't just because they was able to drop you off and the nuns might have smacked you or whatever. No, that wasn't just it. You got to play a whole role in being a parent. It ain't just saying, here's a couple of dollars, I brought my kids some sneakers, or I paid for this, I paid for that. No, you got to go and enroll your kids in something. Most of the day, you might be at work, but your child's in school. After school, then what? You have to program your child with, and the brother just said something about there ain't no programs. To this day, I've worked with Boys Harbor, Boys and Girls Club, PAL Center, the center over there on 135th. There's so many programs out there. The problem is parents don't invest their time. in programming and getting their kids involved with stuff. And us men are responsible because we so big on trying to do what we want to do and be the head of the family and let the woman be the one to deal with all of that. That's where the problem is. You got to start investing your time, and not just in your kid, because I came from a single family household. And when the brother said something about, oh, or somebody said, oh, a woman can raise a boy to be a man. No, she can't. What my mother did was she put me in the presence of men to mentor me from that level she brought me to become a man.
Hold on, let me just say that I said that what I said is that a woman, a single woman can, not that she can't do it. I didn't say she could do, all of them could do it. Not that she, what I'm trying to say is that there are men out here today.
Bill, can you teach a little girl to be a woman?
I can teach her to be a lady.
Can you teach a little girl to be a woman?
No, I can't, but I can teach her to be a lady. And when I say a lady, I can teach her about how to wait, hold on. I can teach her how to carry herself as a woman. I can't teach her the fine parts of her body and anatomy and stuff like that. No, I can't. But the bottom line is, I would have to instill that into somebody that I'm close enough to teach her that thing. You understand what I'm saying? I'm a
point. That's what I'm saying about a woman. Your mother, if you got a single mother, she brings you to a certain level where she has to put you in the presence of a man.
Rich, I'm not disputing that, but what I'm trying to say is, you learned how to be a man for the most part of your manners from your mother, correct? Am I wrong or right at that?
My mother passed me off to men.
But I'm not disputing that. But what I'm trying to say,
took me as far as she could take me, because let me tell you what happened.
But she took you somewhere, though.
Let me explain it.
She took you somewhere, though.
Let me explain it. When you reach that teenager period, where you're now a teenager, and you're experiencing shit in the street, in your mind, as a boy, you say to yourself, "There's no way my mother can know what this shit here is about in these streets," even if she does. Because as a young man, you worship your mother and you put her on a pedestal, and you don't see her as that kind of chick you see in the street, behaving the kind of way some of these younger girls behave, or being in the presence of some of these men and how they, or these young boys, on how they treat women. So you say to yourself, there's nowhere in the world she can tell me, or rather, there's no way in the world I'm going to believe she knows about this. Because for me to believe that she knows about this means she had to be out here. And she might have been, and she was out there, but you don't see that as your mother doing that. You know how you tell your kids something, and then they don't believe what you said, but somebody else will tell them the same thing, and they took that and ran with it. Because they don't.
Let me just say this. I don't want you to think. I don't want you to think I'm disputing you, and we can open it all up. I don't want you to think I'm disputing what you're saying. All I'm trying to say is that there are avenues that a parent can do, because the bottom line is, and I can only talk personal. What I know is what I know, right? My father worked at different hours. My mother was home most of the time, depending on who could pick me up from school, who couldn't, you know, or whatever one could. It took both of them. But I learned a lot from just sitting out on the corner. The number backer, as they used to call him back in the days, the dude who ran numbers, could sit there and talk to me and tell me about what not to do and how to do. That street dude used to be like, yo, you're a good kid. You keep going to school, right? Hey. Or if he thought somebody was going to pick on me, yo, you leave him alone. He a good kid. Get your little dumb ass over there and do what you do. That guy got, you know, he got a promising career or something. He's all right. My parents was my parents was known as the Huxtables. I had a street guy.
But Bill, I think not to cut you off.
That was a man, right?
Rich. What I think Bill is saying is he's agreeing with you.
Yeah.
So take it from somebody who came from a similar household where my mother raised me. Father wasn't around after 11, but a mother could raise you. She can instill certain values in you. She
Yes.
can instill certain morals in you, but she can't teach you to be a man. So
Exactly.
now what she does is she may, and understand this, in our era, a woman didn't have access like they do today. There was no search on the web to put my kid in this program or take my kid to this cultural center or this community center. It wasn't there. And if you didn't have it in the neighborhood, they didn't know about it. They hopefully ran into some positive male figures who could instill those qualities in you. But guess what? When you don't have that, guess who raises you? The streets. And you get it from different people in the streets, just like Bill said he got it from the numbers runner. Now, I also want to touch on, yes, there's community centers and there's cultural centers, but there's far and few between, because even if you search online, unless you get someone that's going to put a bug in your ear about this center or that center, people don't know where they're taking their kids to, and people don't like to take chances. I coach kids in basketball in St. John's Rec in over by Albany Projects over 12 years. Okay. And I'd run into people who lived not even half a mile away and knew nothing about it. And I would tell them, bring your kid over, you know, and we try and teach them basketball. There's a lot of positive male role models out here, but there's not enough because of the system that we live in. Because the system has put a lot of positive role models away in the prison system. Okay, that's a business. I don't even want to go into that whole aspect of this, but the prison system is a business, and it's been a business where it has destroyed a lot of families in our community. Okay, so and as far as what Norman was saying, you know, when I was in school, yes, I went to a private school and ended up in a public school. But even the people who went to either school, and even including my mother, I was the last person anyone would have thought would have became a police officer. Okay. Yes, I realized my calling later on, but I was the last person. And I went through almost a 30-year career, and there's people who knew me and still didn't know I was an officer. Okay. But it's all about how you carry yourself, and there's certain things you learn. I wasn't perfect, but there's certain things you learn along the way to help you be able to help other people. And that's what you're saying, Rich. You learn certain things that were able to help you help these kids that you came in contact with, and that's good. And Bill's trying to tell you, he agrees with you that yes, a woman could raise a child, but she can't teach a man to be a child, a boy to be a man.
Okay, but I wasn't trying to stay whole situation. What I was saying, responsibility of Black men to come out and take an interest in not just your kids. You don't wait till the kid get in trouble to step to him and say, yo, man, blah, 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 blah. You got to develop a relationship with people long before a problem comes about.
But everybody doesn't have that in them. If it's not their own child, they don't have it in them. But it's called empathy. And a lot of people don't have, and it's called love. And if you don't love, you're not, I know I'm cutting you up, but understand this. Everybody doesn't have the same characteristics in them. And if you don't have those characteristics to want to love certain strengths.
You're talking about characteristics that our community had. We had that.
Yeah, but I'm not saying we didn't have it. I'm saying we're talking about today's topic, Rich. But today's topic is about what in regards to the youth. Are we responsible? We don't. A lot of those characteristics.
We are.
Yeah, but those characteristics you just said we had. A lot of those characteristics aren't there anymore.
Because the Black man is not exercising it.
But I just told you a lot of them aren't
going home. They going.
But a lot of them aren't even there.
They're going home and they counting their money. They planning vacations. They want to go hang out, and they say, "Man, I'm not fucking with them kids over there."
But what about the other?
That's what they whole shit is.
What about the other population that ain't even there because they in prison, or those who've been killed?
But they in prison because when Bill was talking about how the number writers and the different hustlers would say, hey, yo, shorty, go to school, blah, 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 blah. That was the influence. Even though they were doing something wrong, even though they were put in a situation where they had to hustle and do certain things to put food on the table, they were still the protectors of the community.
But
when I grew up, they
but do you understand what you're saying?
The community in which they made their money, and
Okay,
they were
but
some
what you're
role
saying,
models to a degree. You just want to keep cutting me off, so I'm gonna
no. But I'm trying to get you to understand what you're saying, Rich. I'm trying to get you to understand what you're saying. This is it.
You trying to get me to understand what I'm saying.
I'm trying to get clarity, right, because
I'm gonna put myself on mute so you can teach me what I.
The thing is, you
teach me what I'm talking about.
Damn, ahead, you ain't have to leave, Rich. So Shaft, come on, Shaft.
Where you go, Rich?
He ain't go nowhere. He there.
You know what I'm saying?
He there.
I'm gonna call it what it is. That's a bunch of bullshit you say.
No. Listen,
bro. It's a different generation,
and
bro.
You talking about a generation of brothers that got incarcerated? They got incarcerated because we took a back step and didn't step out and guide them in the right direction. Them same brothers guided Bill into law enforcement, and probably did that for you too.
Well, they didn't guide me in the law enforcement. I don't think they guided Bill in the law enforcement.
Well, all I'm saying,
we just ended up there.
Them guys ain't get locked up because they walked into the precinct and say, "Yo, y'all got me. Here I am."
No, but that's not what I'm saying. This is all.
What I'm saying to you, and you trying to dismiss the black man's role and not being
not at all. Not at all.
No, hold on. Let me put some order back in it. I don't think anybody is disagreeing with you, Rich, that the black man is very prevalent and important in the household. Nobody is disagreeing with you.
That's not what you're saying. That's not what Ty's saying. I mean,
that is what I'm saying.
That's what he's saying.
That is what I'm saying.
He said that, Rich.
And bring your face back on the screen. Bring your face back on the screen and stop pouting. Bring your face back on this damn screen.
What you doing?
Hold on for a second. Everybody, hold on. Everybody take a sip of water or whatever you drink.
Every time I try to break some shit down to Ty, you know what he do? He start talking over me.
But Rich,
he say a mouthful of bullshit, and then when I try to address that shit, he start, no, I didn't say that. I said this. No.
But everybody, hold on, everybody. This is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Force, with my co-host Ty Butler, Rich Williams, and Norm Davis. And the question tonight, and I got some educators in the building. I got some people, Sharon Klesko. I got my man Rich Bradley, and I got my man Rashid. These are all educators that work in units just like Rich has worked in, and I asked them to chime in if they can sometimes on the comic. The question at hand is what we're saying is, are we responsible for the way our youth are acting? The bottom line is a lot of youth are committing the crimes of today. Have we lost control over how we raise our children? These are all add-ons to one question. It is a open. It's a segue. It's different doors to all of this. I think just to sum this up, I see some comments. I'm going to go back and read, but what I want to say is that I think we all agree that the man is definitely prevalent in the household. Nobody is disputing that. I think they're different. I think we all agree. Correct me if I'm wrong, fellas. After I say this, that we all agree that we were raised by a village. We agree that a village is not there anymore. There are things that are still accessible to us, like Richard had mentioned earlier, but they're not as prevalent as they were when we were growing up. There were after-school programs. There were PALs. You would go to your friends' houses. There were just so many different things of community that was out there. Right now, you got to search far and few between to find something. I don't see what we see. I think we all. You don't agree with that, Rich? You think they're out there? Okay, all right. Hold on. I'm gonna let you say that. I'm in
contact with them on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, well then, what I need before? Hold on, Norm. I'm just gonna read some comments, and then you can tell us. But I'm gonna open this up to fella because this is a great conversation, and I think we all are on the same page. And Rich, I just had a Zoom meeting, and we were talking about with Look Up and my man Mark Alston, and we were talking about doing some stuff, and your name came up. So I totally get it, and nobody's disagreeing. Like I said, I don't think anybody's disagreeing. I just think we're all looking at it from different angles. Like I said, I am a product of a village. Let me tell you something. The street dude, the number runner, the good man, like I needed the reference letters, like Ty and Norm and all. We all came on this job. We needed reference letters. I don't know if they still do that to this day. I needed reference letters from people, prominent people. You know what I'm saying? That said, oh, yo, he's a good kid. People weren't putting their names on papers to say that. They saw something in me. Like I said, my parents was considered, like I can sit there and tell you, I grew up in one of the worst blocks in Harlem, 141st, drug capital of the world at one point. You know, the Latins had, Dominicans had it on smash with the drugs. It was in the news, right? But the bottom line is everybody knew, like, yo, that kid's playing ball. He's doing this, he's doing that. He was, i.e., like the good kid. Everybody knew who my parents were. You understand what I'm saying? But I still was raised from a village. And I say all that to say, so, you know, when we start talking about this, like, I think we all are on the same page. I personally don't see all the avenues that was afforded to me that you're saying that is still out there, Rich. I'm not disputing that. I don't think Ty is. I don't think Norm is. I just think that we just don't see them, and they're not as prevalent. PAL, I haven't seen a kid that I know, a young kid that I know today go to PAL. I haven't seen it. I'm not saying it's still not there. I see PAL. I don't know who the hell goes to PAL anymore. Let me just read some comments right now. Rich Bradley said, Bill, there's too much to say to explain why we have lost control. The question is, can we get it back? And sadly, I don't think we can. Wow. Rashid, my brother, he said, yes, we have to be more involved. We know there's no programs like we had, but conversations are needed without judgment. Absolutely. Stan said, black men having Real Talk Chronicles. Darren said, he is saying it, Rich, and waiting to speak instead of listening. So I think they're saying that he has said. Sharon said there's no structure in the homes anymore. Vera Foster with the beautiful last name. In between when you grew up and now came the greater destroyer called crack. This changed the dynamics of the family and the streets. So Paula said, as a single parent, I passed my son over to my brother, uncles, and gauchos. Sister Soldier had a program on 110th Street where they guide young boys, even a black fraternity in Harlem that instilled men values on young boys. 40 said the kids in the neighborhood bodegas or fights, like the fights of kids from different neighborhoods. Paula said the streets have laws. There is no ethics as a single up. Mark says circumstances cause issues for us as our people, not having a good paying job, not having support. All these things are viable issues. Our communities need help. Unfortunately, it has been this way since we were children. Stan says community role. Everybody mute yourselves. Stan says community role models are not as visible as negative behavior, making itself cool. Communities taught not to snitch. Snitching to keep your block from being hot is intelligence. However, one negative person can control cities. We are the block associations, the neighborhood culture, etc. Lisa Clark said, "This is tiring into the view. No one is 100% correct. There are different ways to get a certain destination, not just one. Maybe a shortcut, but there are different directions." Defining said, "No dads teach daughters how they are supposed to be treated by men, etc." Paula says, "As these kids are traumatized, their father left them and go deal with another woman who has kids and spend time with her kids." Very true. Go ahead, Norm. Come in.
Let me say this, Rich. Nobody's disagreeing with you. And I understand what Ty's saying. I grew up without my father. So when I was looking for my spouse, I made some mistakes. And we weren't born men. We had to develop and become men. And for me to be down here in North Carolina, it's a different culture. It's a different way of life. It's a different community setting where we have a lot of projects, a lot of low income housing. And I understand what you're saying. But what I was saying is that for me, working in those communities and going to those low income neighborhoods, it was no community centers. It was no cultural centers. So in New York, in New York and the bigger metropolitans, you have more options. But for me down here, not to see the options that I didn't see the options like in New York. In New York, I played PAL. We did. We had a community block party. We used to do stuff like that. They don't do that here. So it's a different culture. It's a different culture. So everybody, we had the same thing, but it's just different way of getting to it. If that's making sense, I did. I used to do no knocks, the no knock warrants, and the family would get mad because you coming to arrest the person. And they were even when they had one house, I never forget. The father was teaching the son how to sell crack. So what kind of role model is he? And he felt like it was okay for all four of his sons to be in the penitentiary. Now his mindset was messed up. So it starts in the home, without a doubt, single parent or not. It starts in the home. And yeah, you can send your son to your uncle, to their uncles, to your grandfather. You can send them to them and show them how to be a man. We need more role models. We don't have role models. I'm not going to get into the conspiracy
Can
theories,
I ask you a
but
question, brother? Where are we going to get a role model from this if it's not going to be
that's
you or me or
no, no,
Ty?
no, no.
Where are we going to get
What
it
what
from?
I'm saying is
Because
that
the truth is, these programs that you're talking about that don't exist, these programs that were out there when we were kids, these were programs that people in our community developed. It wasn't just PAL and Boys Club. These were programs, because I know in the polo grounds where I grew up, Mr. Eddie started teaching karate. There was another brother in there that used to teach roller skating. There was another brother in there that started basketball programs.
no,
And
no,
they
no.
did this.
What I'm saying
This is
is that down.
the local men that I'm talking about. We are so busy
No,
relying on these big ticket name programs to feed us. We need to start as men developing activities for the kids in our neighborhood. So the
no. What
answer,
I'm
see,
saying
we
is
sitting
that
around talking about what the problem is. I'm talking about what the answer is. And what y'all telling me is that, oh nah, it ain't happening. No,
no, no,
it
no,
ain't
no. We're
happening
not
if
saying
you
that. We're
don't get
not
off
saying that.
your ass and get out there and grab a group of young men and say, this is what I'm going to do from here. Because nothing's going to get done unless we do it. So stop
And you
telling me about, oh, it ain't gonna happen. Oh, it's not that, it's not like that anymore. It's not like that because we as men aren't making it like that. So,
no. That's not what
like
we're
I
saying.
said,
What
I'm
I'm saying
doing
is
that.
down
I'm
here
doing that.
in
I'm
North
not sitting
Carolina,
on the
where
show
I'm at.
talking about shit. I'm sitting on the show telling you shit that I'm doing. And let me tell you some of the stuff I'm doing. I collaborated with PAL, Boys Club, Boys and Girls Harbor. And what I do is I go around and I go to the different organizations that have kids like school programs, and I link them together, grab kids that aren't in programs or in schools, and bring them in to introduce them. It's called outreach. You have to tell somebody something going on for them to know what's going on. You can't sit inside the building and think people just going to come to you. You go out
No,
in the
no,
street,
yeah.
you have I'm talking, bro. You go out in the street, you have a conversation with that kid that you think is troubled, and you find out what's going on with him. You don't wait for something to happen to him. You say, hey, bro, how you doing? My name is so-and-so. I'm from over here. If you ever need something, holler at me. And every time you see him, you say hi to him or you speak to him, and he recognizes you as somebody that cares. Then you start to dig in your pocket and put some capital interest towards this person or these group of kids. I had a group of kids that I formed teams with, put them in tournaments that were outside the neighborhood. took them out to eat after the game, whether they won or lost, and would sit down and talk with them about what was going on in their life. I would show some interest and then connect some dots with them of people that I was networked with that can help them change their lives. And I've been
Okay.
doing this all my life. So you
Okay,
can't
Rich, hold on, hold on. Let me interject for a second. Let me interject.
do that.
Rich,
You can
Rich,
say,
let me
hold up,
interject
hold
for
up,
a
hold up,
second.
hold up, hold up. I'm going to hold up. Okay, I'm going to hold up. Just tell me what you're doing. Don't tell me what's the problem. Tell me what you're doing.
Okay, Rich, let me ask you a question. Well, because I think it's I think you're thinking. I'm not going to say what I think you're thinking because you're a grown ass man. You're going to say what you feel and what you're thinking. The bottom line is that what you're doing is admirable, but it's obviously that you don't have enough support. Is that fair enough to say?
No, it's not that I don't have enough support. The community doesn't have the support of the black men that are out there doing nothing but complaining and talking about the problem.
Wait a minute. What
And
I'm
I'm
trying to
not
say,
saying that to
hold
this
on, Rich.
panel.
But what I'm trying to say
saying
is
that
you just said what
in
you were
general,
doing.
if the black men step up and step out, they can make a dent, a huge dent in this shit.
I'm not. I don't think. I think nobody here is disputing you. This is what I'm trying to say. But you said what you were doing, and you're saying that the black men in the community are not supporting what you are doing too, because you already said what you're doing, and then you're saying the black men are not doing this too. So
I said
you're not getting the support.
enough black men aren't doing it.
That's
because there are black men doing it.
I'm not saying any black men are not doing it. The
It's
four of
never
us,
enough as long as there's a problem.
But see, the thing of it, the four of us are trying to do that in our own ways. But the bottom line is still not enough, and it takes more than just we need the black men. But right now, what a lot of people are saying is that they think the dent is too big to be repaired. And I'm not, I have people calling in from different professions that are speaking, and this is what they're saying. They're working for the system. I don't know if they can come on next week. Maybe they can if they can't, because I told them I don't want them to jeopardize their careers to come out and speak on this. But the bottom line is they can type in. I'm going to read a comment from somebody that you know very well, Rich. And she said YouTube didn't allow her the many comments. She said, I was trying to post my comment. She said, I became a single parent, and we all know, and I know her very well, and you know her very well. I became a single parent after my divorce when my two sons were under 10 years old. People would say that I was the father and the mother. Impossible. I could only be the best mother that I can be. I surrounded my sons with positive male role models, put them in programs. I put them in the Blue Nile Rites of Passage program under the umbrella of my church, where the program lasted for 9 months. And in the beginning of the program, the students were paired with mentors that navigated with them through the program and beyond. And we are very much connected until this day. And that's almost 14 years ago. As a parent, I raised them in the church, attended every school meeting, joined the parents' boards, volunteered and advocated all the way until they started college, and they have become college graduates. I thank God for the mentors and role models who have played a major role in the young men that they are today. I truly utilize the village to the fullest. Can't seem to put my comments on YouTube. This is from Sister Brenda, your lady, that I know, and I was a part of helping her. And I told Brenda one day, and Brenda, correct me if I'm wrong, I said, you definitely utilize and was the epitome of what a village raising children was. She did what she made sure her children was in that, and I commend her. I applaud her because she has excellent young men in her life. They are role models. They are young. They are what you want your children to be. And obviously, if I had a daughter, I would want to introduce my daughter to them. Now, let me read some comments real quick.
But Bill, let me say this real quick about her. She didn't just do that with her kids. She did that with other children's kids. I mean, other parents' kids.
Absolutely. I was there. I was right there next to her. I absolutely agree with you.
Other parents' kids.
I agree with you. And I was right there. I'm not disputing that at all, but I'm saying she still utilized the village that sometimes is kind of white, is watered down now. Let me just read some comments. Everybody, this is real. I know you want to say something, Norm. Give me 1 second. Let me just read some comments. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster. If you like what you hear and subscribe to it, share it, please. We are getting it in. Are we the question at the hand today is, are we responsible for a youth today? let me say, Diane said, Richard, yeah, Richard, that's a blessing on your part, but everyone isn't you. That's the problem. Paula said, bullshit. Poor people pay taxes too. Yes, we don't have the same opportunities as white neighborhoods because parents aren't involved. Stan said, we have to be careful not to fall for the white man's okey doke. The government made most of these things happen. Government brought drugs and guns to our neighborhoods. Government killed the workforce for our communities. Rich is correct in saying our communities need to take full control of their neighborhoods. Create jobs. Stop expecting someone else to do it. Create positive events in our neighborhoods. Absolutely. We all agree with that. Everybody, that's my man, Stan Dennis, Eminem Hot Chocolate, one of the legendary promoters. When I do my legendary promoters series, he will be one person I would definitely interview. I love you, bro. Diane said, is PTA still in the schools? If parents have a voice and they can make changes. Darren Joseph said, Darren Joseph said, Rich, you need to take a breath. Yeah, everybody, y'all saw Rich throw a tantrum. He went off the screen and shit. He had to woosah. Paula said, we also have to look at the BOE. Do our dismiss no shop programs or clubs or even home economics. Loving God said, teach me to do your will, for you are my God. Let your God spirit lead me on level ground. Psalms 143 -10. Sharon said, in many cases, the parents still want to be children themselves due to their over trauma from the crack era. Rich Bradley said, Bill, this is too much to say to explain why we have lost control. The question is, can we get it back? And sadly, I do not think we can. Rashid says, yes, we have to be more involved. We know there's no more programs like we had before, but conversations are needed without judgment. Stan Dennis said, black men having real talk chronicles. Darren Joseph said, he is saying it, Rich. You are waiting to speak instead of listening. Sharon said, this is no structure in their homes anymore. Vera said, in between when you grew up and now came the great destroyer called crack. I think I read that changed the dynamics of the family and the streets. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. This is what it is, man. We talking real stuff. Paula said, we have to also understand that in a single parent, women have to have 2 and 3 jobs to make ends meet. Don't forget about the voting power. Absolutely. Everybody, I appreciate your comments and conversations. Todd, you've been quiet because Rich been getting in our ass all night. No, Norm, go ahead, Norm, and then Ty and Rich. Go ahead, Norm.
Rich, I agree with you, and I disagree with some of the things. I put my career in jeopardy by starting a community center that was sitting vacant in a low-income housing project. They told me not to bother, but I did it anyway. And the kids came in there to do homework. They came in there to play, to meet each other. Even on my days off, I would leave my family to go be there. And as far as black men, we don't have any black leaders that are worth anything. Who you gonna follow? Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton? No, I don't think so. We don't have the leaders like we did in the '60s that were willing to die for what they believed in. Now, when we were working the job, we were willing to every day we put that uniform on or we put one undercover, we had the risk of dying for that job. So we had to take that same mindset to say, I would die for my brother. I would die for these kids. And that's what we got to get back to. We got to stop being scared of our kids and take back the control. We got to stop being scared of the community and take back the control of the community. There's no reason that we shouldn't be able to go in communities and say, look, this is what we're doing. We need your support. Parents are going to be like, oh, first thing they're going to, especially a single parent, how much does it cost? It's going to have to be, and the government is not going to fund it because I went to a meeting one day and the guy told me straight up, I get more money locking them up than I do reforming them. So prison is a big business. It's a big business. And we are so unable to realize that these kids, let me say these kids are unable to realize that they're living on social media. They're living on TikTok. They're living on Facebook, IG. That's not the way we lived. We didn't have the problems they had that these kids have. We didn't have the problem of wearing our shoes and somebody taking our shoes from us. You know, so these kids are facing different problems that we were facing coming up. When I was coming up, I was worried about the girls. You know, we wanted to make sure we had on a nice outfit for the girls. Nowadays, these kids, they want to make sure they're famous on Facebook. So we got to look at the problems that are surrounding the issue. And once we get rid of the problem, we can get to the issue. And we don't know, we don't have the answer. We can't, the four of us are not going to change it tonight. And the more we talk about it, the less we're getting anything done. Yes, Rich, we need to step out and take charge of things. I agree with you on that. I agree with Ty. We need to come back to the home. We need to come back to the religion. Everyone has different religions, different beliefs, but we all have, no matter what, there's only one God. So nobody's fuss, nobody's disagreeing with you. Everything you said is it has some validation to it, but everyone here has some validation to what they're saying, and everybody's making good points. And I asked Bill one time before, what are we gonna do? What's the answer?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
absolutely. And
you
stop
gave
pouting. And
Yo,
stop
can I
pouting,
ask you
Rich.
something, brother?
Hold on. And stop pouting. Hold on. Let me read the Let me
Can I
read some
ask you
comments,
something,
Rich.
brother?
Hold on, Rich. Let me read some
You said,
comments. Hold on, Rich. Let me read some comments real quick. Just listen, there's a lot of y'all. Y'all got a lot to say. Stop pouting, I said. Stop pouting, Shaft. Look at him shaking his head. I love you, damn it, you big, you spoiled brat. Hold on, let me read some comments. Hold on, Rich. Hold on, I'm gonna let you say what you gotta say, damn it. Hold on. Stan says, "Don't tear down to build up." That is the part of the problem. Find a way to understand that there isn't one way. It's going to take every way. Absolutely. Rich Bradley says, "Bill, I will say this. If we could get the same people community turnout that comes out to the party once a month to do something that enriches the community, I would be down to do that. You party one weekend and then you help the community another weekend." Rich, he said, he says, Rich has the community. He says, Rich has these initiatives in place and we can work it through him and his resources, then build it from there. Great point. Dana says, very true. No lies told here. Social media famous in this era goes. Lisa C says, Ty, you gotten quiet. You were spreading knowledge and your truth. Speak, brother. Paula says, thank you all of the panel's guests who have done their job by doing exceedingly and admirably. Mustafa, Norm, David is right there, is one God. Ty, we are up against a well-oiled machine. Ty, you wrote this? Another Ty. He says, we are up against a well-oiled machine. All media and social networks are big distraction. The system knew what worked and took all of those programs away. Absolutely. Mark Austin, it is our responsibility to bring back resources to our community. 40 Dog, I work with same programs and I do care for our youngsters. Stop turning up, smoking and drinking. Get our shit together. Absolutely. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. Share it, subscribe to it. Rich, Ty, Norm, go ahead.
Listen, the reason what I've been trying to tell Rich for the longest is this. The resources are there, bro. Okay. Yes, you're doing stuff in the community, and that's very admirable. We all doing stuff in the community. Okay. I've been doing stuff in the community on my own for over 20-something years. Okay. And
Ty, what you doing right now?
What do you mean?
Tell me what you're doing right now so I can help you do it.
Oh no, I'm good. I got Bill. But let me finish. Let me finish.
Whoa,
Let me finish. Let me finish.
I asked you what you're doing right now so I can
Okay,
help you do
but
it.
here's
And you said, no, I'm good. What the fuck is
okay,
that?
but check
Joking
this
with
out.
you, joking
What
with
I'm
you,
saying
man.
is, let me finish what I'm saying. Then you can say what you got to say. All right. The point I'm trying to make is this, right? A few times you talked about the resources, the community, and community centers and cultural centers in the community. Think about it like this: if you're a single parent, a woman, you move into community, right? You relocate. You're not tied into the community. You don't know what's going on. Nowadays, it's a little more accessible because you have the internet and you have certain outlets where they can find these programs that are going on. But I'm telling you, from someone who grew up in a household where my mother didn't know. I found, you know how I found out about different basketball places to play in outside of the park? Because someone in the neighborhood I spoke to told me, yo, come down to this spot. So if it's not based on the network you run into, or like we said earlier, older men who may be placed in your life, you're not going to learn these things. You're not going to figure them out. Yes, they could be there, and it's admirable that you're doing it, but everybody's not going to have access to that or have knowledge about it to be able to be part of it. The other thing I wanted to touch on is I heard Stan and someone else, a couple other people touched on during the 80s, when the crack era came through, it took a lot of young men out of here, right? And what happened was now you have young men or young women trying to be parents. And and you have to understand that for them to be able to adjust, they already transitioning from childhood to adulthood. That's already filled with a lot of challenges on its own. One of the challenges it's filled with is physical changes that's going on within them. And that's what's going on with a lot of the youth now. They're dealing with physical changes, they're dealing with mental changes that are going on with them, and they don't know how to adapt to it. And they don't have and they don't have, other than the internet and technology and what's going on in social media, they don't have those things, other than those things, to raise them. And that's part of the problem that's going on out here with a lot of the youth. I'm talking about the problems. Yes, there are solutions. Yes, I feel you about being passionate about the solutions that you bring to the table. We all bring solutions to the table. But the talk I understood tonight was addressing some of the issues where are we responsible for our youth? Yes, some of us have been, and there's a lot of us who haven't been. Okay, but you can't beat people up that haven't been. All you can do is point out, listen, this is what needs to be done. This is what's been going on. Let's find a way to get around it and come together about it. You know how you find a solution? Here's a perfect solution, right? And it just came to me. Bill's once a month function that someone just talked about. Have you ever been, Rich? Just nod your head if you've been. Yes or no? Yes or no? You've been. Okay. Perfect example. You stop the music. You ask everybody to get quiet. You get on the mic and say, listen, there's a lot of men in this room right now, a lot of black men in this room right now. And, one of the issues, I don't want to go into it. I want to let y'all get back to partying. One of the issues going on in our community right now is our youth is raising the youth. And guess what? And they're killing off the youth, and it's damaging to our communities. We need some able brothers in this room to whether they volunteer or whether they take it upon themselves in their own communities to go out there and start helping these youth. Okay. And I got a pad right here. Y'all can write your name down and y'all number or email if you don't want to give out your number, and somebody will reach out to you and find an organization where you can volunteer your time. Simple. There's a solution. All right. I ain't opening my mic for the rest of the night. How about that?
Come on, Rich. No, what y'all got to say? Everybody, this Real Talk Chronicles.
Okay.
Yo,
that wasn't a solution. That was a suggestion, right? All right. You suggested that this is what we do, right? I'm telling you that the solution is in each and every individual to go out there and make their own personal dent and reach to the person next to you that's doing that also and collaborate. When I was a kid, there was always something going on. I mean, y'all talk about the crack epidemic. There was the heroin epidemic that's still going on to this day. There was the angel dust epidemic. Opioid, there's always some kind of drug epidemic, and none of them is no better than the last one. I mean, the era of crack was one where it kind of coincided with ACS taking control, where they was telling you you can't discipline your child. So that and crack are two things that kind of coincided together that made like a perfect storm. But there's always been drugs flooded in our communities. We didn't bring them there. The people outside of the community brought them there for a reason, right? To break down and destroy our youth and our community, particularly the Black man, right? Now, I've been to these clergy meetings, and Bill, you can attest to this. Back in the day, every church had their own basketball team and maybe even a football team. I went to a clergy meeting the last couple of years I went, and the clergy get together and they talk about what they want to do and they talk about the problem, but nobody talks about the solution. Everybody can point out what the problem is. But when it comes to doing something, I went around the table and I said to them just what I said to you. Back when I was a kid, every church had their own basketball program, had some kind of athletic program. There was also linked up to some private schools and colleges where people got opportunities to get out of the community and play ball outside the community and then potentially go on to college. Not one church sitting at that table had a basketball program. They said we had one, but we don't have one anymore. Money is something that we flood society with our money. Everybody lives off our money. The Chinese, the people from Yemen, the Jews, and we say we ain't got no money. I see you sitting over there going like this, like we ain't got no money. Yeah, but we the ones that's buying the Jordans. These poor communities buying the Jordans, spending our money with other cultures. Everybody that comes here, the first thing they want to do is set up in Harlem, set up in the Bronx, set up over here. It's why they setting up over here if we ain't got no money. They setting up over here because we giving them our money.
Okay, Rich, let me ask you a question. I'm saying, would this be something that you would want to do? We could go around to churches and ask them to organize a basketball league, and we could have a church league, and that people could because like I said, we already know half the problems, and the bottom line is we got to come with solutions. We're not going to get it in the next 14 minutes. But the bottom line is that's one problem. That's one thing that you said, getting the churches more back involved,
but
holding
the
them accountable.
The issue is they don't have no Black men that's willing to put their time in because the church can't afford to pay them. They can give you their name. They can give you their nonprofit status, where you could try to raise money. And this is what people did. I remember when I was a kid, we used to have rent parties. When I lived on 147th Street between Amsterdam and Broadway, the community had rent parties for everybody that lived in there to shorten their rent. They socialized. Everybody gave up $1 because they had them in the house and in the backyard. You give up $1, you come in there, and that money went towards the person's rent.
So wait a minute. You just
$1 too. We got ways that we can raise money, like that thing you do at the Roadhouse, right? He said that you get on the mic and say, "Hey, this is going on. Volunteer your time." No, this is going on. I want everybody to put $1 or $2 in this can because this is what we're going to do.
That too. You can have them. You can have them put the $1.
Bro, you said you was cutting your mic off.
But I changed my mind.
Cut your mic off. Cut your mic off.
You can ask them for the money
too. What you said was a suggestion.
What I said was a solution.
This is a solution.
No, it was a solution.
Stop your mic.
And I put you on point.
I need everybody
for you to get on the mic while you at the party and say what you gotta say.
And this is what we're going to do with this money. We're going to make a dent in our society, this money is going to be able to pay for a basketball team. I need somebody in the crowd that's willing to coach it. I need somebody in the crowd that's willing to do this, X, Y, and Z. You formulate a plan. You ask to solicit money for that plan. That's the solution. You don't just turn on the mic and say, hey, we doing something here.
Okay,
What I said was, I said that you could
I heard
also
what you
do
said.
that.
I don't think you did.
I know you heard me.
I don't think you heard what you said.
I know exactly what I said.
All right, well, let me say this. The one thing is, you said, Rich, you said something about we said about going to the churches, and then you said the churches would say that they don't have anybody to do the thing. So right there, that just almost offset a good idea. So now
it doesn't offset. You got to get somebody to commit. You find somebody that's claiming that they're so and so and this and that, and you give them a task. You say, listen, I need you to do this. Tell me if you can or can't do it, but I need you to do it. If you say you're going to do it, I need you to commit to it. But you got to formulate a plan. So you get people that want to formulate a plan. And like I said to you, Ty, what are you doing? And I would help if I can. You say, oh, I'm good. But wait a minute. I got some stuff that I'm doing. And if you got time, come and help me do it.
Whenever I'm in town, I got all the time in the world, bro. Listen to me. Let me explain something to you. And I don't have to be long-winded about it. I'm gonna be real talk, right? Because that's what we on, Real Talk Chronicles. Ty's been volunteering in the community for over 25 years, bro. Even as a cop, I used to get the keys to a Catholic school gym, and I wasn't Catholic.
Are we talking past tense or are we talking present?
No, bro, I'm going to bring you from the past to the present.
No, I'm asking you, are we still talking present?
Slow down, and I will bring you to the present, okay? From past to I used to get the keys, and after I would get off from doing a 4 to 12 tour, I would tell cats in the community, young cats, come play ball in the gym, and they would come. And the reason I'm bringing that story up is because there's two individuals who are very successful with families to this day who are younger than me, right? And when I say they're younger than me, I got them maybe by 7 to 10 years. And they come to me and say, you know what, bro? What you did was amazing for me. You saved my life because at the time we were in the streets and we were heading down the wrong path, but coming to that gym and being able to play with you cops was so inspiring to them that it helped them turn their life around. Okay. In between that time up till now, I've always done mentorships. I do mentorships in schools where I talk to the kids about having being positive in their communities, having a better relationship with law enforcement, how to act when they interact with law enforcement so they don't get killed along the way. Okay. I also talk to them about different programs when I'm there where they can go and get help if they have problems at home, if they have problems where they need to find an athletic program, where they have problems with mental problems. Bill could tell you, we just did it. We had a kid break down on us in the last lecture we just did, and he sat down. And Bill could tell you, when the kid sat down at the table, he shocked both of us with what came out of his mouth. And I can tell you, I'm not even going to go into all his business, but part of his struggle was going through what Dwayne Wade's son is dealing with. And Bill and I looked at each other and we were like, we weren't even ready for that. But guess what? We sat there, we listened intently, and we, from a place of empathy, gave that kid what he needed. He walked away in tears, not so much because he was hurting. He walked away in tears because he didn't expect that from us, and we gave it to him. So when I tell you, yes, I do it. I'm not saying that to try and compete with you. I'm not saying that to try and combat with you. I'm not even saying that to try and boast about anything I've done. I'm just telling you that in a way like, look, bro, this, like Norm said, this brother's out here doing it. You don't have to know about it. They're not writing about it. You may not necessarily read about it. You may not even see it. Okay. But it takes a village. And yes, it's going to take time. And if you have something substantial, you want to say, look, can you do this? I got this going on. When will you be in town? But you better believe I'll come to town, or when I'm in town, I will definitely come down. And Bill will tell you that. Okay. I know we're getting ready to get off. So can I say my words of encouragement, and then Rich and everybody else can go after
yeah. Hold on, Ty. Hold on. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with Ty Butler, Rich Williams, and Norm Davis. We will try to pick this up next Wednesday. I think this was a very informative. Please, if you enjoyed this conversation, give up some love and some hearts. These brothers all are passionate about helping the community, and we all want to see the youth change. The bottom line is, the question was, are we responsible for our youth today? And I think we all want the youth to be better. We're just trying to find the answer. That's really in a nutshell. We try not to give up. Everyone here is doing their part. We're separated, different cities, states, countries, and all kind of shit, but we all trying to do it. Let me just read some comments, and then Tom, I'll let you say what you got to say. Shout out to everybody chiming in. Miss Butler's chiming in. Hey sis, what's going on? So Samanya said, great show, guys. It's time for my Moscow Mule. Have a great night. Absolutely. I will be having a cocktail too. Paula said, yes, please. My granddaughter was listening and she enjoyed the segment. Thank you. Please tell her to subscribe to it, Paula. Paula said, we need to go out to the business in our community too. She says, I love Rich passion. Yeah, he was pouting a little bit tonight, but I love his passion too. That's why he's part of my family. Loving God said, this is an opportunity to educate the listeners on the programs available in our individual counties. Wow, Rich, rent parties, that's powerful. 40 Dog said, I have resources, Bill, on sports events, teams, and tournaments. There you go. Paula said, God bless Reverend Butts. Absolutely. 40 Dog, once they gave these kids rights and restricted the parents, the women, and the children, emasculate the father, the single parenting is the norm. Absolutely. Stan said, I raised 2 children, and if you know me, you know my children. That's real talk. I made sure they knew and know the village that their mother and I have. Absolutely. Paula says, hi, don't let the problem steal your joy. Mark said, let's do it, Bill. Absolutely. Lisa said, one word, Ty. One word, mentorship. Nailed it, Ty. Stan Dennis said, to speak about me and my community, I own my own youth football program from 8 years old to 15 years old. I own a whole youth football league, over 1,000 youth players in our tri-state area. Yes, you do, Stan. I know that. Paula said, video games and the computers are the devil. These kids can't even have a conversation. Absolutely. Darren Joseph said, well said, Ty. Mark said, everyone is passionate about the youth. Much praise to you all. Absolutely. Lisa C said, okay, I'm tired. The View Talk Show is known for the co-hosts interrupting if someone doesn't agree. Please don't let to listen to and see if we can have common ground, my way or the highway. Absolutely. Mark said, what are these celebrities doing? I'm sure behind the scenes, many are helping, but we need more. Absolutely. Celebrities definitely need to come out. Loving God said, it is he who reveals the profound and hidden things. He knows what it is, the darkness, and the light dwells with him. Daniel 2:22. Mark said, what's up, Rich? Mark Austin. He said, also kids don't play. Richard Bradley said, also kids don't play like we did. So sports programs don't have the same appeal in our communities. Programs now have to be geared towards the likes of today's kids because it's very different from the way we came and we liked and valued. 40 Dog said, I work with some programs and I do care for our youngsters. Stop turning up, smoking and drinking, get our shit together. Absolutely. Mark said, it's our responsibility to bring back resources to our community. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Richard Williams, Norman Davis, and Ty Butler. Are we responsible for the way our kids are acting today? We'll pick this up part 2 next week. Really, I think it was a phenomenal show. Ty, I know you want to close out. Rich, close out, Norm close out, and then we're gonna get out of here. Because let me tell you something. I need a drink. Sorry, y'all. Now let me stop. Go ahead, Ty.
All I'm gonna say is this: between technology, video games, and social media, it has our kids growing up in isolation, and no matter what we have going on out there, you know, with them growing up in isolation, we got to find a way for them to grow in community, you know, and that's what we've all four of us have said throughout the night in one way or another, and that's the root of it, you know. And my quote is this: you know, life is best lived from beginning to end, but best understood from end to beginning. So, you know, there it is. We've learned things, and now it's time to share so the kids can learn, and we build a better community.
Absolutely. Rich. Yoo-hoo. I went old school.
My cell phone number is 917-365-8991. If there's anyone out there that wants to collaborate with me to do some projects, if there's any parent out there that's having trouble with their young man or young woman, call me and I will do all I can to assist you.
What's your number? Hold on. I'm gonna put it in the group.
I'm going to repeat it again.
Hold on. Give me a sec. Hold on. Hold on. What is it?
917-365-8991.
91. Bang. Anybody that would like to collaborate with Richard, please. I'm definitely going to talk to him, because the bottom line is, whatever we can do, whoever has an idea. Like I said, I was just on a Zoom with Mark Austin and another brother, Michael Sledge. He's doing a phenomenal work with the Sledge Group, and we were just having this conversation. And then we were definitely going. Richard, your name came up in the meeting. It was so funny it did, and we're gonna we you know, everybody. I guess we all going to come together. I work with Ty, Norm. Like I said, he's doing this thing. Hopefully, this thing can build so good so we can come to North Carolina. We can lend support to everybody and do that. I'm gonna let Norm. Rich, you finished? That was your positive affirmation for the night, or that's all you want to say?
That's all I want to say.
Okay, come on, Norm. Close out, baby. Give me some love before I close it out.
You know, it was a good show. I appreciate all you brothers. I got to make a way to be there next week. I'm gonna be in Mississippi. I'm going to finish the community that my grandfather started. I personally have over 160 acres of land. So, Rich, if you want to come down, I got some cows and horses. We're going back old school. We're doing a community thing. We're going to be farming. We're going to be farming and taking care of the community. I want to get a school. My grandfather started a road called Richard Road in Magnolia, Mississippi. It's a 2-mile stretch. Nothing on that road is not family. Everybody on that road is family, no matter what color they are. They're family, blood family. And I want to get back to the way he wanted that dream. So we have to start picking up the dreams that our forefathers had for us. And yes, you're right, Rich. It's going to take time. It's going to take people willing to sacrifice. We're not going to do it overnight, but we're here to see that we get something done before we leave here. I don't know what tomorrow holds for any of us, but I pray to God that I see you guys next week. I pray to God that you guys are blessed and safe. And everybody that's listening, everybody that's chiming in, I pray that you're safe. This world is crazy because we don't have any structure anymore.
Yeah.
The whole world is crazy. Anytime you have people that think it's okay to go back to hanging people, something's wrong with this world. Anytime you have people that want to go back to the Jim Crow laws, the world is crazy. So we have to be safe. We have to unite as people of color and take care of one another, from the babies to the elderly. I haven't met a brother that I didn't like. I haven't met a brother that I have a problem with. And with the job that I did, I see where it was taxing on me because it gave me a different perspective. I had to get my mind back right. And I can't look at the people and judge them by the way they look. I can't look at people and judge them by the way they live. So I just want to say we got to get back to believing in the God. We got to get back into community. And I'm rambling. So I just said, I love you, brothers.
You ain't rambling, brother. You ain't rambling.
No, I just want you brothers to know I appreciate each and every one of you. I would wish nothing but the best for everybody that's listening. Life is short. We have to enjoy each other. We have to enjoy each other and do what we can for each other. Now, if you need to get in touch with me, my number is 919.
All right, hold on now.
And I had the same phone number since cell phones.
919. What is it?
696
696
6202. Personal line.
6202.
That's it. So if you brothers want to reach out, reach out. Rich, if you come to Mississippi, you guys know where to stay. You
Can
just
you
got to get up
repeat
in the
that
morning
number
and milk the
again?
cows. 919 696 6202. Come on to Mississippi. I'll show you how to milk a cow.
Rich said, "Nah, I'm good with that.
I don't
We could
drink
do some
milk.
other shit." He said,
How's
"Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah, you don't drink milk." Hold on, let me read some comments. Everybody said great show, awesome. Walt, my man Walt, what's up, Knowledge? He said, "Love you from the heart, father. You ain't family. Everything you say is real. All we got is each other. Peace to the God. Knowledge point." Mark said, "To be continued. Great shows, guys." Paula, part of getting your mind right is to stop eating all that poison that is in the products we use. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I really enjoyed this show. I really did. I trust me, it's all love, brothers. As the song say, Rich, brothers gonna work it out. That's what we do, right? You know what I'm saying? This is a great conversation. You know, the one thing that you can take from this is that we all love our youth and we're all passionate about what we're trying to do. You know, listen, ain't no harm foul. No, there's no foul here. All those brothers here, we want to see the bottom line is we want to see the youth stop doing what they're doing. I mean, from all aspects of this game. I mean, you got three brothers in law enforcement. You know, we're all community oriented brothers, and you know, Rich is definitely involved, and I know he's involved in it, and he's out there. Ty and I are out there. Norm, you out there doing what you got to do. Like I said, we got some people. Thank you, Sonia. Awesome segment. Appreciate it. Mark said Sandra Robinson Green. I don't know who she is. Sonia said communication is one of the most powerful components of progress. Absolutely. Everybody, please, if you like it, subscribe to it. If you missed it, share it to your page. Share it to your social media page. So all you got to do is go to go to YouTube, look under Real Talk Chronicles, look at the segment, and then just share it to your Facebook page. Let everybody see what we was talking about tonight. Real brothers having real talk. Stan had said some positive stuff to us. Let me read the comment before we get out of here. He said, I think it was very nice. I see you, cousin Kendra. You know, I would have loved to get her input on it. She was a homeschool student, her and her family, my cousin. Uh, Stan said, I'm proud of you, brothers. You make a difference. Appreciate that. Everybody, subscribe to it, share it. The sponsors, Soft Illusions Art Gallery.
Stan was a mentor to me and you, Bill.
Absolutely, yeah. Stan,
in our 20s. Okay.
Absolutely. That's my guy. For those that don't know, Stan used to do with so many events, but Stan used to do the Jones Beach Greek parties at Jones Beach. So if you went there, that's the man that did it. Listen, we're just trying to make a change. Soft Illusions Art Gallery, Reggie Wells Quality Speakers, Deadly Arts of Survival Magazine, Ingram Taxes, DEF CON this weekend, DEF CON 3, 6 to 11 Saturday, and I think 1 to 4, 1 to something on Sunday. Listen, also tomorrow, Undercovers. You'll get the insight on what Ty, Norm, and I did on A&E at 8 o'clock. Watch it, please support it. We know the brothers in there. Thank you.
I'm sorry, 10 o'clock. I'm sorry, Bill. You were right. 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. Wifey said, love to see positive and Black men collaborating for our young kings. Thank you, Miss Butler. It's always great to see you. Tell moms and people I said hi. Everybody, if you don't do anything, foster the moment with positive vibes only. We out of here. Appreciate you.